Hey students, we are beginning testing next week, and guess what? We have some awesome tips for you by your awesome teachers, and number one, we have Miss Lamy with tip number one.
Always read the entire passage first, then move on to the questions.
With tip number two, we have Mr. Hamill.
All right, tip number two. Most questions are going to be multiple choice, meaning there's going to be some that are wrong. You got to get rid of the obviously wrong answers first. Then you're left to choose between a couple right answers. So for example, we might have the test question, what is the best class? Now we have some clearly wrong answers we can get rid of right off the bat. Goodbye, science. See you later, man.
Ouch.
All right, so we leave history and English, both pretty good. Now I get to make a 50-50 decision. I just increased my chances. Now, obviously, the answer is C, English. But I just made life a whole lot easier on myself, getting rid of the obviously wrong answers.
Number three, we have Mr. Smith. What's your test-taking strategy?
I've taken a lot of tests in my life, and every time I take a test, there's a couple stressful questions, and when I get across a stressful question, I like to breathe in and think about it. So breathe easily when you come across a stressful question.
From Mr. Scoville, what's your tip?
Sometimes when I'm testing, I get really stuck on certain passages and then time goes by and I end up running out. So I think it's really important to make sure you know how much time you have left, and if you get stuck, move on and then come back to it again.
Ms. Shields, what's your tip?
My tip is to use your scratch paper, even if it's an ELA test.
Tip number six, Ms. Fromm.
Use the materials that your teachers provide you with.
Ms. Cole.
Remember, you can take notes in any language, even though you have to answer in English.
Now for tip number eight, Ms. Hanks.
Make sure you have a good breakfast. That's very important. Yoo-hoo!
Tip number nine, Ms. Hall. What you got for me?
Read every question and all that goes with it, including your graphs and your tables.
Tip number 10, Miss Fish. What we got?
You need to go to bed early and get a good night's rest.
Tip number 11 from Ms. McKinney. What's your tip?
Use the test to help you take the test.
Ms. Wadley, what's your tip?
My tip is that if you're not sure, go with your first impression. Lots of times you'll be right.
Now for lucky number 13 tip from Miss Flood. What you got?
So I always go through and answer the questions that I know right away and come back to the ones that I don't know right away so that I can spend more time on it, I can manage my time a little better, and sometimes you find the answer a few questions later, so
For tip number 14, we have Mr. Abbott. What's your tip?
Use the science dictionary. It's part of the test.
We have Ms. Bailey. What's your tip?
The tip is read. Read the directions and read the questions that you see. Sometimes they look long and you're like, oh, I don't want to read. Don't. No. You have to read every word.
Tip number Sweet 16 from Ms. Heck.
Okay, what you need to do is read the answers first. That way you can go back and read the question and you already have an idea of what the answers are. That way you can double check and then you can answer your question to the best of your ability.
Now for tip number 17 from Ms. Blimes. What tip you got?
Use context clues.
Ms. Elder.
Bring your water bottle and stay hydrated.
For test tip number 19 from Mr. Park.
Take your test review seriously. If your teachers are doing a Kahoot, a Bookit, if they're just reviewing, if they're asking you to remember to write down the quadratic equation or the Pythagorean theorem, or if you have to write down the definitions for figurative language, do it. Take it seriously, and that'll help you to score better on the test.
And last but not least, tip number 20 from our own Dr. Reynolds. What's the tip?
Gladiators, you got this. We want you to show what you know, and we're all about bumping you up.
Yeah!
Hey Gladiators, I just want to wish you the best of luck on your upcoming test. You can do hard things. You got this. I miss you all.